Hey friends, Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Man, I got to tell you, uh, it's crazy because the NFL season has really uh, just started. Excuse me, just ended, and it's crazy how much is already going on before the league year even has started. You see where the Giants have already started the bloodletting with their team, getting rid of Victor Cruz and Rashad Jennings. And my thought is, what the Giants realized is the defense is the only reason why they made the playoffs. Let's be honest with it. Their offense stunk to high heaven. Eli Manning is a turnover machine and everything else, and that's not going to necessarily change that quickly for them. And they probably looked at it as the defense is what did it for us. So let's hold on to the defense. So I think they're going to make a play to try and keep JPP in the fold, and that's the rumors that you're hearing out there. So I think what's happening right now is what the Dallas Cowboys did last year, and that was sign their own players. They valued keeping their own guys on the team, so that way the new guys coming in didn't necessarily have a lot to learn. That's why we kept Morris Claiborne when, he had another extremely injury-filled year like he does every year. So I think that's what's going to happen with sorry, I'm getting the stuff up here. I can never remember exactly where the live chat is. Kansas City. Looks like they're going to be making a play to get Barry back. So looking at that guy, possibly trying to bring him in, that's not going to happen. You look at a lot of the teams, they're valuing keeping their guys. The Cardinals, they're going to keep their defensive end. And so I think Calais Campbell is going to be the outside man looking in, because they can't sign everybody. They're going to franchise tag that linebacker, which is going to cost them probably about $17 million. So all of a sudden you spend that. You've got Carson Palmer coming back. You got Larry Fitzgerald. So those spots where they thought they were going to get some cap relief, they're not going to have. So when you start looking at that, if I can get this stream in here going, and figure out where the chat is, there's 32 of you guys that are on here right now. And it seems like it moves every time I'm on here. So forgive me, guys. I'm old and technology is terrible for me. I'm actually getting ready for the Benet Emery show. And I'll be on there at 9:45 Eastern or 8:45 Central. So I go on there in 40 minutes. So I'll talk about that, and then I've actually got to go back to D.C. and pick up my wife from the Wizards game. They're doing a great internship with the NFL. They're actually going to have NFL players for 3 weeks that are interning with their company. So all that's kind of really neat. But I got to pick her up. So where is the live chat? I got to tell you, I love all of the interaction that I get with you guys. I love all the comments, even though I don't agree with a lot of them. But it's driving me crazy with all the talk about Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. I'm sorry, but I just cannot wait to finally get Tony Romo out of here. Sorry. Tony Romo has been a great quarterback. He's done everything in the world that you could want your quarterback to do. But I'm sick of hearing about how much better Tony Romo is and how Dak, people are basically, Dak ain't crap. And nothing could be further from the truth. And I haven't wanted to do this because I respect Tony Romo and I don't want to kick somebody who's going out the door. Why can I not find the chat in here tonight? Okay. Done. Here we go. Okay. I don't want to kick Tony Romo when he's down because clearly Tony Romo had a rough year this year, being injured, thinking that this might be the year that I go all the way and so on. And here it is. He gets injured, and a rookie comes through and becomes all that in a ham sandwich. And when you start thinking about it and looking at it, you got to feel bad for the guy. So you don't want to sit here and burn him going out the door. But somehow, some way, people don't seem to understand what we have with Dak Prescott, because I keep hearing the dink and dunk quarterback. What really annoys me is people that said that Dak had a crappy game against Green Bay. And I'm trying to see why it is that you guys think that Dak Prescott was awful. I'm sorry. A shout out to all you guys. For some reason, I'm not seeing the chat. Just bear with me for a second here. I've got the live chat up, but it's not showing me any of your guys' stuff. Participants. Mark Holmes. Hello, everybody. There's 62 of you watching. Thank you for joining. But unfortunately, I can't see your comments right now. And I feel like an idiot because I'm looking at live chats, but it's just me saying hello to everybody. And that's the hide chat, but I'm not trying to hide the chat. I'm trying to show the chat. But here's the thing. We look back at Tony Romo versus Dak Prescott in the playoffs. And a lot of people are saying that, well, the Dallas Cowboys got behind 21-3. And they want to blame that on Dak Prescott. I don't see how you blame it on him on that. We had penalties that stop drives. We had some poor play calling that went on in there. I would say the defense should take more blame for that because they weren't able to stop Aaron Rodgers the first 3 drives. But Dak Prescott, let's look at his numbers. He was 24 of 38, 302 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception with a 103.2 QBR. By all stretch of the imagination, that's pretty damn good. He literally went, there we go. Not going to take any live calls tonight because I'm getting ready for the Name show and that's set up. But when you look at what Tony Romo has done in his playoff career, let's break it down. I bet the trolls are almost sexual. Hello, Mr. Chips. Hello, Blake. Blake, I've got your shirt. I'm going to get it out soon. Hello, Karen. Hello. Looks like we got the troll in here tonight. Not going to take any calls tonight because I've got to do the Name show. So forgive me on that one. Let's take a look at Tony Romo's stats in the playoffs. His first game, Seattle, 17 of 29, 189 yards, 1 TD, no picks. 89.6 QBR. Not exactly the great game there. Sorry, I'm trying to take care of some stuff that's put on here. Unfortunately, we got a lot of idiots that like to troll. So all these trolls are around me every day. When you look at when we played against the Giants, when we were 13-3, #1 seed going into that game. Romo, sorry, we're not going to take any calls tonight. Romo was 18 of 36 for 201 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception for a 64.7 rating. You know, not that good. Against the Eagles, we actually won that game. He was 23 of 35 for 244 yards, 2 TDs, and 0 picks, 104.9. And that's kind of like the game that Dak just had against Aaron Rodgers and that, team of theirs. Then we go to Minnesota. Minnesota, that was brutal. 22 of 35, 198 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception for a 66 QBR. You see where I'm going with this right now? For all you people that keep saying that Dak Prescott had a bad game, that he didn't do jack crap and it's his fault, and that he is not an elite quarterback. He's just basically showing up and it's because of the offensive line or because of Zeke Elliott. You know what? I'm going to pull a Samuel L. Jackson here. I am tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Get real. Either you are just totally blind, you're listening to the fake sports reports, or you're just dumb as hell. I'm sorry. When you say that Tony Romo is a far superior quarterback and that Dak Prescott is just taking up space, that he's a nobody, get a life. Because every statistic that he had as a rookie was better than any other quarterback in the history of the NFL as a rookie. And take that out of the equation. He was 4th in the NFL in passing. Yeah, you can say Tom Brady was definitely playing better. You can say Matt Ryan was definitely playing better than him. But yards per completion, he was 4th. The dude is a player. Tony Romo, at best, if he can make it through a whole season, might give you 2 years. Dak, 10, 12 years of football at least in front of him. $600,000 a year, $24 million if you keep him this year. I mean, if you cut him now. If you hold on to him for next year, $54 freaking million. You're going to sacrifice half of the damn team to keep Tony Romo in here. We have 21 free agents that have to either be re-signed or replaced. Are you going to do the detriment of the team by keeping Tony Romo? No. Get over it. He's gone. Hey, Reese. Wow. Yeah, we got the trolls in here. Forgive me while I take care of some work in here. Alonzo, Sandman, what's going on? Rudy, how are you guys doing tonight? I'm doing pretty good. Like I said, I've been a little bit kind of pissed off because some of these people that are leaving some of these comments, and I'm assuming that they're just trolls and trying to get a reaction because that's what they're really getting. Just like the fake Mark Holmes that's in here. You know, he's got my exact picture from my site up. He's, in here as soon as I'm starting to do stuff, and that's probably who's trying to call in, and just trying to, I guess, have some fun at my expense. It's kind of annoying, but hey, let them do what they're going to do. I don't usually. Here's the thing about the mock drafts, Ultimate Gamer. To me, they're really meaningless because what happens is you get these guys that are out doing 20 mock drafts, and in the end they'll say, well, see, I told you that guy was going to go number 1. Well, you also said 20 other guys are going to go number 1. And there's too many dynamics to really even be anywhere close to being accurate. Who saw the Dallas Cowboys taking Travis Frederick? Anybody? I remember being outside that draft in New York when that happened, and I remember all the talking heads like, Jerry Jones is crazy. He took an offensive line. He traded back when he could have gotten a pass rusher. Turns out he's one of the best centers in the NFL. But nobody predicted that happening any more than any of the other crazy things. So doing a mock draft is kind of pointless. It's spending a whole lot of time thinking that this team's going to pick this guy, so this guy's going to. What I'll do is, like I've done in the past, and I'll pick out some players that I think would be a good fit for the Dallas Cowboys. But I'm not going to go through the whole trouble of trying to do 7 rounds of a mock draft. That to me is just wait. Okay, I think our stalker is all the same person who's got all those nice things to say. Yeah, Jobu's got his gloves on. He's ready to fight for the Dallas Cowboys. So what do you guys think about Jerry Jones and his he's looking for a war daddy. What is it with Jerry and all the daddy comments? You know, because remember he was talking about Dak Prescott and the stiff arm that he's the daddy. Between that and glory holes, kind of gets you going. What's going on, Jerry? Actually, Dak, not tonight because I've actually got the phone is set up to Skype in for the show, and I don't want to try and bring that over because it's all set up with the microphones and the headset stuff. So we'll Skype in on Friday night when we do a longer show and stuff. So I'm just kind of setting up for this, giving you guys like a look of what the show's like and so on. So if you can, hold off till then. You know, here's what always happens with our buddy the Trolls there, because I think he was Belgian Waffle for a while there. He was Billy Goat and everything else. What he'll do is when you block him, he'll just create another profile and come back as somebody else and just get more and more pissed. I'm just hoping that he doesn't live anywhere close to me and that I have to actually deal with him because he's damn near getting to be a stalkerish. Charles Harris. Yeah, I agree with you about Divine Redding. He actually looks like he could be a good pickup. I think what's going to happen as far as running backs go is I think Lance Dunbar will probably get re-signed. I think Alfred Morris will be gone, and I think God, I can't think of his name right now, will also be gone. So we may be looking for another. Calais has been in the league for, I want to say, 9 years. That's another person that somebody else kind of ticked me off about Calais Campbell. And they said it, oh, he's just in a contract year. That's why he played that. He's not a 8-year sack guy. I hate to tell you. His rookie year was the only year that he didn't get any sacks. Every other year he had 6 or more sacks. And he's had as many as 10 in a season. But every year is pretty much consistent. One year he had 88 tackles, I think 6 sacks, and that was just 3 years ago. Last season he had 8 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, an interception, 54 tackles, and he wreaked havoc on that defense. So I still think he would be a good fit. JPP may not be a free agent, so there's not going to be a lot of pass rushers. Some people have mentioned Cameron Wake, but I think they re-signed him to a contract. So there's not a lot of guys that are out there. And for all you guys that say we just need to build through the draft, well, a lot of you, well, we know that we're going to lose Price Butler. We know we're going to pretty much lose our guard. People want to get rid of Doug Free. Brandon Karsh, people want to get rid of. J.J. Wilcox will probably go because he'll be too much money. You got Morris Claiborne. Yeah. You've got too many players to replace. You have 7 picks. Generally speaking, when you draft, what you're hoping for is you get 1 impact player, you get 2 starters, you get a special teamers, and you get some backup players. If you do that in a draft that you get basically 3 players that are actually starters, you've done fantastic. And we unfortunately got spoiled because of this draft that we just had was phenomenal. We ended up having more players than you can ever dream of having, especially having Rookie of the Year candidates, 2 in one draft. But lightning's not going to strike twice. You can't expect that to happen again this year. So you're going to have more holes than you need to fill. Now, Jerry Jones was, like he was saying, that if there's a guy out there that can get a pass rush, and I really liked hearing that, you know, they'll look at trying to do something with that. And that really makes me excited because if we can get a pass rush, I think our defense will be markedly better. Shout out from Denmark. Jonas Jensen, man. What is Tony Romo's trade value? Well, here's the thing. As far as Tony Romo's trade value is, I don't think you're going to get more than a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick for him because of his injury history and his contract. But at this point, it would be advantageous for the Dallas Cowboys to take a deal early. And it'd be advantageous for a team who really wants Tony Romo to make a trade early because you want to get him on your team sooner than later to start learning your system and start playing. What's up, Jelly? I bet you that's our stalker. Not going to take any calls tonight. So if you are looking for a quarterback, and there's a lot of teams that are out there. The Texans are definitely going to need one. Denver needs one. The Jets need one. The Bears need one. Buffalo needs one. So there's a need throughout the NFL. You're looking at rookie quarterbacks that don't look that good. They don't look like they're going to be that promising to take you to a Super Bowl. So you may roll the dice on a Tony Romo, and you want to get him there as soon as possible so that way you can learn that system. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you'd rather have that happen sooner than later, because getting him off the books now is going to give you that money for free agency. So that way you don't have to. So that way, sorry, not taking calls tonight. So that way you don't have to restructure all these contracts. We can get as much money as we need. We can get over $50 million just by restructuring contracts. But that's what got us in trouble. That's what got us in trouble before. Sorry, let me turn the ringer off on here so that way we won't hear it anymore, because our stalker is definitely calling in tonight. Sorry. Dude has definitely got a hard on for me. There we go. Okay. So you're going to want to make a move sooner than later. And I think most teams in the NFL would rather you make a move sooner than later, because basically wherever Tony Romo goes is going to change the dynamics of the draft and the rest of free agency. Because when you look at the quarterbacks out there that you might take a risk on, Jimmy Garoppolo is definitely going to be in demand. Cleveland is looking at trading with New England, and they always trade together, it seems. But after you get past that, there ain't a lot of good quarterbacks out there. So I still think that before free agency starts that there'll be a trade for Tony Romo. But we'll see what happens. Border Patrol, a.k.a. But he's been blocked. And so I think what's happening is Billy is getting pissed off because I've blocked all of his different personalities from Mark Holmes and everything else. And he's trying to call in. And so he's just kind of getting pissed. Robert Hart, he's a virgin living in his mama's basement. I like that. Shout out Rashad Simmons. Hey Rashad, how you doing? Rudy, how you doing tonight? Yeah. Rudy, how you doing? Jacob, Martin, Steve Hill. Yeah, like I said, I don't see the fun of it, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Jalen Robinson, how you doing tonight? Abdullah. Yeah, again, that's one of those things that really kind of pisses you off, is they have Dak Prescott ranked 88th. The guy just gets no respect, no matter what he does. And if you watch one of the videos that I did the other day, where I was talking about him being a dink and dunk quarterback, as a lot of people say he is, it's nothing can be further from the truth, because he's getting 7.99 yards, almost 8 yards every time he makes a completion, which is better than Tony Romo's average, which was better than Aaron Rodgers this year. It was better than Russell Wilson's this year. It was better than Andrew Luck. The only three quarterbacks that had a higher per completion rate: Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, and Kirk Cousins. Everybody else was below Dak Prescott. And we won't even mention the fact that he had the highest completion rate game in NFL history. So he plays defensive end, but he can play defensive tackle. He actually plays, Calais Campbell we're talking about. He can play on any spot, and he rotates on that line. And a guy that's like that, you can play anywhere. You can make him work on your system. Yeah, well, Steve Hill, as far as right tackle goes, we drafted Chaz Green, but Chaz Green has had a problem staying healthy. That's one of the reasons why I know everybody thinks I'm crazy. But I think that Doug Free will be back is because Chaz Green can't stay healthy. So I think what will happen is we'll have Collins at guard. They'll put Chaz Green out at tackle and hope that he can stay healthy and plays well. And if he doesn't, you got Doug Free who can step in. It's not ideal, but the problem is a right tackle is going to cost a whole lot of money, or you're going to have to spend another draft pick. And like I was saying, when I talk about getting a beast defensive lineman, you can't fill all the holes through the draft. And we've gone through the whole bargain basement guys on the defense, and they've done a good job. Don't get me wrong, because they have come along and shown potential. But we need a beast. We need a guy that's going to make the quarterback piss down their leg, flat out. We've got guys that are good in spots here and there when they're rotated and stuff. You need an every down player that knows how to play right now. And when you draft defensive linemen, defensive ends, it usually takes a couple years before they're able to step up. It's just a fact of life. So in my mind, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Calais Campbell's nothing. No, I'm telling you, he's a guy that can mentor those young guys. He's a guy who will make an impact now, who's an every down player, who will make the rest of them better. And to me, that's where you've got to get a guy that's going to make a difference. You're not going to get that guy in the draft with the pieces you have. Now, is going to be fantastic if he keeps progressing the way he has. That's going to be a big impact for us. So I'm looking for a lot of great things on the defense, but we still need that one player that's going to put it together. Yeah, and that's what's amazing, Amanda, is how everybody talks about the only reason why you hit the nail on the head that Dak Prescott had such a good year is because of the offensive line. I'll admit that having a good offensive line helps. Having a good running attack helps. But it's not the be-all, end-all. Take a look at last year. We had the fourth best rushing attack in the NFL. We had the same offensive line that we had last year was the same one we had this year. Yet Brandon Wheaton, Kellen Moore, and Matt Castle won one freaking game. So don't tell me that it's only because of those pieces that you had and anybody could step in, because those three guys stepped in and couldn't do jack. And even when you took Tony Romo in the 4 games that he played last year, had 5 TDs and 7 interceptions. So almost twice as many interceptions in 4 games than Dak had all season. And he had a good running attack, a great offensive line, and basically the same team. And he only had I believe a 79 QBR. But a lot of the Romo-sexuals out there will say, oh, well, you can't count that year because he was hurt. That's the exact point. You just made the argument for me. He was hurt. He couldn't play. So the team went down the toilet. So that's okay because he wasn't able to play. Get out of here. Like I said, I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on these motherfucking plane. Excuse my language, but some of you guys need to just get a life. Well, here's the thing that I'm fearful from, especially if we have Tony Romo. I don't know if you guys have started looking at the schedule, and I'm going to probably do a video about it, but we have a hellacious schedule next year. When you look at, we've got not only the NFC East, which, the Redskins and Giants and Eagles, those are always, I don't care what the records are, those are always top fought games. So we've got those guys. You start adding in Atlanta, Green Bay, Seattle, Arizona, Denver, Kansas City, the Raiders, San Diego. All of a sudden, you start looking at that. We're not going to be 13-3 next year. I think it's going to be more like 10-6. And the other thing you got to remember, too, is there hasn't been a repeat NFC East champion since the Eagles did it, I believe, in 2002 and 2003. So repeating is hard. It's going to be tough. When you're good, people want your coaches, they want your players, and you have a target on your back because you want to beat that team and those guys. So if you keep Tony Romo on there, and whether it's Dak Prescott's fault or not, the whole thing of all these Romo-sexuals are going to be out there. We need Tony Romo because Dak ain't crap. Because people are blaming Dak Prescott for that loss against Green Bay. You lost on a freak play at the end that Aaron Rodgers. If you want to blame somebody, blame the defensive coordinator who called the defense prevent. Blame the head coach for having you spike the ball and then proceeded to throw the ball 3 times and not run out the clock before you kicked a field goal. But for a rookie quarterback to come from 21-3 down against Aaron Rodgers, who was playing the best football of his career, you want to blame it on Dak? If you're going to blame that loss on Dak Prescott, when we go against Atlanta or Seattle or Green Bay in one of those games and we lose it, and it may not be Dak's fault, we know exactly what you guys are going to do. So I am just ready to be done with it. I'm tired of trying to prove to these guys with numbers and facts. And so I've got 10 minutes before I go on for the Benet Emery show, and that'll be fun. Sorry, I've been looking at the feed here. I've been actually venting, and there's my girl Sarah. How you doing tonight, Sarah? Sarah, you never let me down. You are my best girlfriend, girl. And that's the great thing. And you, Amanda, the dude works hard. The great thing right now for me is Dak Prescott is not in recovery. He didn't have to wait for his shoulder to heal or for them to scrape some more bone down and possibly put a metal plate in his collarbone. He didn't have to have back surgery where he's laid up and having to rehab. Dude is ready to play right now. Dude will be working out with Des Bryant, Cole Beasley, and Jason Witten in a couple of weeks, learning more, learning how to connect with his receivers, getting that magic together. That's what I'm excited about. All you guys are Tony Romo. When was the last time Tony Romo had a full training camp when he was actually able to work out with guys? It's been few and far between over the last 6 years. Well, but here's the thing, Jacob, and you're right, he will be a free agent. But the question is how many guys are we going to be able to sign? How many guys are we going to be able to sign with the money that we have, especially if we hold on to Tony Romo? But yeah, Nick, you're right. Billy Goat, I guess I pissed him off one of those times when I went after him, but he has definitely got some real issues. I hope I don't meet him in like a dark alley or something, because dude might just really go off. Oh, here we go. Petzl rods. Okay. Yeah, Tony Romo would have beat Green Bay because he always does great. Here's an interesting stat for you, Tony Romo, is that Tony Romo would have beaten Green Bay. Dak Prescott's 302 yards against Green Bay were more yards than any playoff game that Tony Romo ever had. And I believe Tony Romo lost to Green Bay when the catch, no catch should have been actually a running play for the first down, so that way we'd kill the clock. But Tony Romo changed the play to try and go for it all. And I'm not so sure even if Daz caught that, because we would have scored like that. We would have left tons of time on the clock for Aaron Rodgers to go downfield. And we know what Aaron Rodgers can do with 32 seconds. I also recall another game against Green Bay. It wasn't a playoff game. And we weren't even playing against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was hurt, I believe. And Tony Romo had the team up 26-3. But you know what's funny about that game, or actually sad? We lost that game. So when you start talking about Tony Romo would have won that damn game, get the fuck out of here with that crap. Because I've seen Tony Romo lose twice when it counted to Green Bay. And we're not talking about Tony Romo his first year when he didn't have anybody. We're talking about Tony Romo when he had the NFL leading rusher, who had by over 300 yards, more yards than Zeke Elliott. So when you say that Dak Prescott only won because he had a great running back, Tony Romo actually had a better running back that year with the same offensive line. So choke on that with Tony Romo would have won that because his playoff record is so great. He's Joe Montana with his 2-4 playoff record. Sorry, I'm kind of losing it here, but it just really annoys me. I don't want to bring race into it, but I think that may actually be the real deal, because if this was Carson Wentz who did that, they would have already had a 60-foot statue of him in front of the stadium in Philadelphia, flat out. The dude had 4 interceptions, 24 touchdown passes, 5 rushing touchdowns, 29 touchdowns, 3,600 yards. By the way, the same number of yards roughly that Tony Romo had in 2014, just to let you know. Yet, he's just a dink and dunk quarterback. But hey, what do I know? I'm a guy with a voodoo doll and a day job. And I'm just Joe the fan like you guys. But one thing I will say this. I'm not working for ESPN, or I'm not a professional football former player. I don't work for any NFL teams. But I dare you to find somebody who has been more right than I have. Anybody. I don't care if they work for ESPN, NFL Network, Fox Sports, or whatever. I challenge somebody to find somebody that's been more right than me. Again, let me take it down a notch, because I know I'm going to have a hit out on me from some of those homosexuals out there, because you better not say nothing about Tony Romo. Oh, no, you better not say nothing about Tony Romo. I'm close, Mark. Laugh out loud. Yeah. I think here's the thing. You guys know that I am a fan of history when it comes to the NFL. And I look at a lot of things that have happened this year and equate it to past history. I look at this season just like the 71 season with the Dallas Cowboys with Roger Staubach, when Roger Staubach took over for Craig Morton. I look at it as the 92 season when Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin, sorry, let me get this going, lost the first round of the playoffs and got Charles Haley in the offseason, and it ended up becoming a dynasty that could have won more Super Bowls if we had kept Jimmy Johnson. So I see those things where you can say this team is a lot like that. And I believe that if we can take care of that defense, we've got a hell of a schedule. We're going to be battle tested come playoffs if we make the playoffs. And I think that in the NFC that we are probably the most balanced team, believe it or not. Atlanta, great offense, but I'm sorry, that defense is not that good. Seattle, they're more of a shell of themselves. They're not the same team that went to the Super Bowl years back. Green Bay has a lot of rebuilding to do. They're getting old, long in the tooth, so to speak. The Giants have the turnover machine that is Eli Manning, who I think is overrated. And they have a great defense. So you're looking at all these teams in the NFL, and we don't know how the draft is going to affect them. We don't know how free agency is going to help them. But right now at this moment, we have probably the most complete team in the NFC. If we could add a few pieces, if we can hold the core group of our guys together, if we can get the ball to bounce our way, we got a good shot at making the Super Bowl, as good as anybody else in the NFC. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out, works out for us. But you got to admit that going into this season before we found out that Dak Prescott is the real deal, you had to, in your mind, think, okay, if Tony Romo can stay healthy this year, maybe we got the next year. So maybe we got a 2-year window to win it all. When you look at the team now, where Tyron Smith, except for Doug Free, will be the elder statesman on that offensive line at 27. You look at Zeke being the Adonis that he is. You look at Dak Prescott being careful with the football, making pinpoint plays, able to run when needed. You look at those pieces together on that offense, and you say, we've got a window with that offense 5-6 years easily. You can't say that this time last year with Tony Romo. Tony Romo, who was recovering from the shoulder, who we talked about having a plate put in at this time. So we kept looking at the team saying, we got to win this now. Well, we got a little bit of time now. So now you've got most of the pieces for that offense. It's time to start putting together the defense. Okay, so I'm about to go on with the Benet Emery show. So I need to actually get this going here. Excuse me for a second. And I've got 1 minute and counting. Do the show. I'm on for about 7 minutes. And I'm going to be ending this one because I got to go ahead and go pick up Mama. Got to take care of Mama because she's the one that got me to that great Super Bowl and got me into all those great events. So, pissed me off. Sorry, Mark. Alonzo, what did I do? Did I piss you off, man? I have been reading all these comments, and there's lots of great comments, and I got to start going through it. Mark, who's Dak Prescott's backup? Well, that's going to be a good question because I think Mark Sanchez is going to be gone, and I think Kellen Moore might not be re-signed. So we may not have that guy on the roster just yet. And let me call in here. Okay. Oh, why y'all talking about me tonight, man? What's up with that? Man, I got to tell you, I am mad as hell. I am sick and tired of some of these people out here. No. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it, okay? All right, we're just going to leave it at that. No, I have not had a threesome. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Okay? Yeah, hang on one quick second there. Hold on. Can you hear me?
I thought your wife was going to hit you, though.
Oh, no. Actually, she's actually at the Wizards game. When I get finished with you guys, I actually got to go pick her up. They have they're doing a great thing with the NFL Players Association. They're actually having players that are interning with different businesses and stuff for 3 weeks. So shout out to some of these great players that are out there that are giving back and trying to learn and do stuff. But anyway, I want to tell you how pissed off I am because, I have my YouTube channel. I'm doing all kinds of videos and stuff on there. It's doing really well. But I keep getting all these damn homosexual people that are about as dumb as they can be.
She said homosexual.
They keep talking about Dak Prescott had a terrible game, and he's the reason why we lost against Green Bay.
Did they watch the damn game?
And I'm sitting there like, what? He's a dink and dunk quarterback that he is basically, nothing. That Tony Romo would have done so much better. And I said, the thing I always try and do is I try and look back in the history of the game. I try and look at the numbers, and I try and give you real statistics. So when you look at that Green Bay game, for all you homosexuals out there that hate Dak Prescott for whatever reason, and I don't know what the reason may be. Maybe, Benet, you know what the reason is. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Hey, can I say it? No, James, don't say it. Go ahead, Mark. Okay.
But he was 24 of 38, threw for 302 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a TD with 103.2 QBR.
But you know what else, Mark, is real funny? The quarterback in the NFL that has the lowest pass attempt won the Super Bowl. And you know who that is, right?
Yep. Tom Brady.
So he,
but here's the thing.
13 balls over 20 yards the entire season.
Right.
Maybe.
He's lived on being a dink and dunk quarterback. But here's the thing. In Tony Romo's career of playoff games, he never threw for 300 yards. Not in a single one of them. Not one of those 6 games. He never threw for more than 2 touchdown passes in any of those games. So when they say that Tony Romo would have won that game, I'm like, what in his past history tells you that he would have done so much better if he could have stayed upright?
Well, this is the whole thing, though. This is one thing I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's people don't like change, and then not only that. Remember, years ago, Vince Young won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And then he was at the NFL the next. So I still think people are thinking that maybe this is an aberration. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you could. Okay, here's the thing. You could say that with a RG3, because RG3 came out and it was something totally different. It was a pistol offense, and he was able to run and get open and be able to just basically dink a pass and make completions. And you were so worried about him running. And that was the same thing about Vince Young. Dak Prescott is a true pocket passer. He doesn't look to run. He runs when there aren't any other options. And you can't say that he's going to end up being, and anything can happen, don't get me wrong. But he has all of the tools. You know, Vince Young wasn't rated 4th in the NFL in passing. Neither was RG3. They made a lot of plays because of their legs and everything else. But this guy has been able to make every kind of throw in every situation. So I don't think it's necessarily apples to oranges, but time will tell for sure on that one. But you could see from the time he played those first couple of preseason games that's an NFL quarterback.
Well, the whole thing is, I think people need to look at how consistent he was. How many bad games did he really have? How many games did Mark? Because I know you know this.
He really didn't have. Okay, he had 4 interceptions on the season.
Yeah, how many games did he didn't have? How many games did he have that he didn't have 100% over his passer ratings?
Well, he actually he owns the record, I believe, right now with Well, no, I'm sorry. He holds the records for most completions over 70%, right, which used to be held by Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. And he blew that away by 3 more games. So when you start looking at that, he had 104 QBR for the season, one of the top ones in the NFL. So when he gets this off season where in a couple weeks he'll be working out with Dez and he'll be working out with Cole Beasley and stuff like that and really working on timing, you watch the dynamic next year between Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott. It's going to be something beautiful that you're going to see next year. You have been wrong thus far because you picked Dak Prescott out before anybody. I was talking this time last year about it. You remember, shout out to Jay Ajayi, because remember when I was talking about him and we had a discussion that the Cowboys were worried about that knee, but I said, man, that guy's going to be a player. Look at the 200-yard rushing games that he's had this year. He has been an absolute beast. Shout out to Jay Ajayi, who played football with my son Jeremy. That's right
down the street at Frisco Liberty High School. What's going on, Jay? I got an autograph for him because my son ran together.
Well, you also have one of Dak Prescott's teammates that I believe went to Taylor High School too. Wide receiver from Mississippi State. God, I can't think of his name right now.
You're talking about I'm talking about Liberty High School. You're talking about
from Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler John. He's talking about the cat that came from John Tyler. His last name is Ross.
Ross, that's it, Ross. Yeah, he's actually a really nice size receiver. And don't be surprised if the Cowboys start taking a look at him, because I think we'll probably lose Bryce Butler and maybe Terrence Williams will be too expensive for them to keep. And he might be a guy they target.
They have no confidence in him. Zero. How many times was he targeted the last 7 games? Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. But you watch. He's got the size, the build, and the speed. I think he's going to be a player.
And then because they targeted Cole Beasley more than they did, he was like the third option. It was Dez, Cole, Jason, and then they would have to come all the way back to Terrence Williams.
So you think this upcoming season, if they're going to pull back, because Jason Witten didn't get a whole lot of play. I mean, he wasn't getting a lot of passes this year, and I don't know. That's
well. Here's the problem. You only have so many balls to go around. You know, when you had Cole Beasley leading the team and Des Bryant, so you can only go so far, and you've got Dak. And I'll be honest with you, I think we needed to run the ball more than we did, especially that Green Bay game. That's your bread and butter. Keep running it until they can stop it.
Right.
So to me, and a lot of people, that's part of the reason why people say that Dak Prescott can't throw deep. They're not understanding the concept of this offense. It's a ball control offense that gets you sucked in with the running game, so you have easy passes. So in the grand scheme of things, which is better? To get a touchdown in 3 plays where you're only taking off a minute or 2 off the clock, or to get a touchdown in 15 plays where you're taking off 8 or 9 minutes? With our defense, we're better off taking our time getting that touchdown because you're making more consistent high percentage plays. Tom Brady's done that for years.
I think people need to realize, too, that Dak Prescott doesn't call his own plays. So if they call a 7-yard in or a 5-yard out,
right.
If it's open, unless he changes the audibles, that's the play he's going to run.
That's true. Well, true. You know, he could change the plays. You know, you'll have options for different looks and things like that predicated on what the defense does. But for the most part, yeah, you basically have 2 or 3 calls you can make on for what they're sending into you. So, yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of latitude. Not like the old days where the quarterback actually called his own plays.
Let me question.
Yeah.
Tonight's topic is Valentine's do's or don'ts.
Okay.
Suggested something they definitely should not do on Valentine's Day.
Something they definitely should not do? Ask for a 3-way.
Well, tell folks how to get in contact with you, homie.
Definitely check out my YouTube channel, Mark Holmes, because, you know, if you're missing football and the Dallas Cowboys, that's your fix, because we do at least a video every day on there about what's going on with the NFL and stuff. Check out Cowboy Jobu on Facebook and like that. And, of course, every Monday night here on the Benet Emery Show.
I appreciate it, Mark, man. Thank you for tuning in, man. We'll see you next week, homie.
That's right. We'll be right here.
All right, my man.
All right. Thanks.
All right, let's.
All right, guys. So that's me on the Benet Emery Show. I'll copy that tomorrow evening and have it up so that way if you want to see the rebroadcast, but you actually got to watch it live. Yeah, we beat Green Bay during the season, which is true. But unfortunately, the problem with our team is we've always been really good in the playoffs. In the regular season. But come playoffs or crunch time, you know, where it's basically win or get in or playoffs, I think Jason Garrett, that coaching staff, sphincter muscle just locks the fuck up because we always fail at those. I'm sorry. It's finish the fight and coach better. Because when I look at what we've been able to do in these games, and I'm looking at us clocking the ball and then in 2 passes and not taking off time off the clock, that's coaching. You don't leave 30 seconds on the clock to let them get in field goal range to beat you. You give them the ball with no time left. That's football 101. If you watch the Super Bowl, that's exactly what Atlanta did. I swear I was sitting there watching that game, and I felt like I was watching the Dallas Cowboys. Great first half. They're moving the ball like crazy. They get a big lead. But somehow, some way, they found out how to lose it. They stopped getting pressure on Tom Brady, and they stopped running the ball, killing the time. Had they run the ball a little bit more, they wouldn't have had enough time to come back. They had a second down on the 32-yard line with 3 minutes, 40 seconds left. A coach should know, let's run the ball a couple of times and make them either use their timeouts or run off some time on the clock, kick the field goal, and make it a 2-score game. But what did they do? They went to the well, pass play, get sacked, taken out of field goal range. Next play, incomplete pass. You took no time off the clock. You kept it from being a 2-score game, and you had to punt to them where they could drive downfield and tie it up. That's a Dallas Cowboys move that we've seen over and over the years. And I pray that our Dallas Cowboys coaches can get it together come playoff time or come crunch time and coach better. Now, I've got to go get my wonderful wife, go pick her up. And it has been fantastic talking to you guys tonight, being here venting because, you know, I had to get the whole Romo stuff off my back. I'm sure I made a few enemies, and I'm sure I had some people who just stopped subscribing now to Jobu Sports Report. But I'm not saying this stuff from the heart. I'm saying this stuff by the numbers. And the numbers say you go with the younger guy who won't cost you as much money, who is performing and can stay healthy. And if you guys don't like it, I'm sorry. That's the facts. So, guys, thank you very much. Good night, Sarah, and have a great, great week. And we will be live streaming Friday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. Have a great night. The stop button.